If you want to hear about the dozen palettes that play supporting characters on a regular basis for my eye looks, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène and welcome back, or if it's your first time, welcome to HMM Makeup or Makeup. I wanted to come on today and talk about a specific type of palette use that I don't think gets a whole lot of mention here on YouTube. We often talk about a palette, do a full look with a palette, and move on. And really, there are a number of palettes that we may not use that way, and I thought I would talk to you about the 12 that fall in that category for me. You could definitely have some very different choices compared to mine for this kind of application, but I thought at least I would give you an idea of which ones are my choices for go-to palettes to complement a look, and then maybe inspire some people to go and hunt in their collection for something similar, or to acknowledge maybe in your own collection the palettes that, hey, you reach for some oomph to a look, or for a specific shadow once in a while that just comes to mind. So that's what I'm going to do today. I want to talk about some palettes that I go to for specific shades and toppers, I tend to call them, usually inner to two-thirds of the lid, like the topper I have today. And the palette that really made me think of this topic is one that gets mixed reviews here on YouTube, and it is the Naked Cyber palette. Now, I am a big fan of this palette, and it has been poo-pooed by a lot of people here on YouTube, and in part because it's seen as lackluster. And if you look at my inner to two-thirds of the lid, I dare anyone to tell me that that is a lackluster look. I think it's bright, it's very shiny. I'm hoping that the camera is picking up all of the high-level shine that comes out of this palette. And I'll show you the one that I'm wearing today. It's Static, this one right here. I'll show it to you upright. So this is the one. I tend to like all of these on the inner lid, but my favorites are definitely these two. They are absolutely beautiful for my eye shape, my eye look, my color preferences, absolutely. But when I look at most of these, Cyberspace is also beautiful. It brings out the green in my eyes because there's green in it. And let's see here. Oh, well, Y3K, a blue rust like this is just, it's absolutely beautiful. As a matter of fact, if you look at my headshot for this channel, I am wearing that kind of a rusty blue look on the inner to two-thirds of the lid. Love it. It's just such a beautiful color option. So this is the palette that made me really think about talking about this kind of a palette, because this palette I truly use to go in for one or two shades. I don't tend to think about this palette as a full look, but the duochromes that Urban Decay released in this Naked Cyber just make this a go-to palette. I go to this palette on a very regular basis, especially if I want a bam look and I don't want to really think about it. The inner to two-thirds of the lid is going to be coming from this palette most of the time. So that's the first one, just to kind of kick it off, and let me show you some other palettes that basically fit in this same category for me. This is another Urban Decay product. It's not available anymore, but the Moondust shadows, some of them are still available, I believe, on the Urban Decay site. This is just happens to be the palette that contains 8 of them, and they are obvious choices to go to. They're more blingy than the Naked Cyber, but they are absolutely beautiful shadows. And so if you go for a neutral look and you just want to take the look up a notch, maybe going from daytime to evening, this is a perfect palette to pick a one and done shadow to add emphasis to your eye look. It's an obvious one to go for. I'm very thankful to my friend Lillian for having handed this one over to me. She wasn't using it, and I really have been enjoying it quite a bit. It's the colors in here, they're basic, but because they are Moondust shadows, they have a lot of impact on the eye, and I'll go in just for one shade. It never fails. Another one that is a one shadow look palette that shocked the heck out of me as being in this category is the Celestial Divinity from last year's Christmas release from Pat McGrath. I would never ever have thought that this palette would be in this category, but it absolutely is. And it is for a few different shadows. This color right here, which is one of those greenish blue to rust or burgundy red, that is a color I go into often. Megabyte is another one that I go into often just for that one color because it's absolutely gorgeous. And let's see if I have any other preferences. Those are the two big ones. This one would also be one that I would go for, but not as much as these two. So I will open up this palette specifically for those few shadows to go and do inner to 2/3 of the lid. Seems to be my preference for those colors. I think of those shadows when I think of this palette. Are there a lot more colors in here that are nice, and if I decide to do a full look, do I utilize them? Yes. But when I'm trying to complement a look, especially going from day to night, the two that I showed you are the ones that I'm more likely to go for. And so again, that's why this palette is in this category. Now this palette I have mentioned as using in this manner, and it is the Tartiste Pro Remix. And the reason for it is it's quite an eclectic palette. And for me, it tends to be going in for specific shadows as opposed to coming in for a full look. And this one, Splatter, is absolutely beautiful for my eye and complexion. I definitely like the gold as a topper, and DIY is also beautiful. I don't think that the camera is doing it justice, but it is so nice. And if you really want a powerful yellow, that one really does the trick. The black as well, Ink, is a very nice deepening black. If you are having trouble finding a black that you like, that one it's very buildable, and you can get a deeper black result. So I tend to like it quite a bit. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Those are the big ones that I go for. Create is one that is similar to what I showed you in Urban Decay. Not that different, so just kind of the same but different. And yeah, I think those are the ones that I would mention, but the first two that I mentioned are the ones that I think of first when I think of this palette. Now the next two are from Linda Halbaldi, and Linda Halbaldi is a European brand, and the two that I'm going to show you are absolutely individual shadows that I think of. I'll think of a specific one that I want to use in a given day. This first one is Enchanted Secrets. Out of the two, I'm going to say this is my favorite, although they're basically a tie. All of these are beautiful, but if I have to pick one, I'm big on lime green, and this one is so beautiful. It's breathtaking. But I do like all of them. If I were to just pick two, I would say that these two are the most beautiful in this quad, but the whole quad itself is gorgeous. They don't make this one anymore, but if she has additional releases with this kind of a formulation, I would definitely get more. I'm looking at other brands, trying different brands, trying not to buy too much from the same company so I can experience more and different formulas. but I have to say that her formula for special shadows is really unique. So this is a kind of for an interesting, almost semi-translucent topper. Just give you a swatch so you can see what I'm talking about. So this would be almost like a translucent topper from her. And then let me show you what her metallics look like. So this is another palette from Linda Halbaldi, and this one is a lot more metallic, full, rich, deep colors. This one, of course, is a different formula than the other three. But if you want a goddess look, I'll put a picture of one of the looks I've made with this quad. The depth and the richness of the color make me want to go in and use one single shadow for a look, and I'm never disappointed. I think I'll go for the green. I'll show you what that one looks like. And it's, I mean, I went in once for this swatch, and it's just so nice. Just a beautiful, beautiful swatch. And you can see the metallic come through on the finger, and you can definitely layer and build up the color. It's just, it makes you look like you're really, really good at makeup when you use one of these. And then if you want to take your look to the next level with some shine, this one is a nice one as well. Let me just give you a swatch of that. And pardon my fingers, I was baking today, and my skin does not like flour, so it tends to get red. So the top one is the Linda Halbaldi topper that I was just pointing to. So you can imagine this color built up and then having this on part of the lid to make it pop is just beautiful. Since we're talking about small quads, I'll bring out Clionadh Cosmetics right now. And these are highlighters from Clionadh Cosmetics. And I'm showing you one of these quads. I have two of them. This is the quad that I use the most, which is why I wanted to show you this one. And there are a few that I'm particularly fond of, and that's Circuit and Fuse. Fuse is more of a pinkish peach, and Circuit is more of a yellow kind of a look. And I think I have the other quads somewhere. I was planning on only showing you one, but I'll show you both. And this one is the one that has some other very BAM colors. There is a purple, a blue, this high voltage is probably my favorite, lime green, and spark up here is a peachy pink as I hit the camera. The one that I think of the most is this one, and the one that I use the most is this one. The colors are more wearable than the other quad, but really any Clionadh highlighter pans are breathtaking, and I would be hard pressed to say that any of their packaging for a small number of pans isn't worth it. I think that every single one of the highlighters that they've put out that are good for the cheek and for the eye, anytime that I have a Clionadh highlighter on the inner to 2/3 of the lid or on the center lid, I get asked what I have on my eyes. Pretty much a given that at least one person in that day is going to ask me. And so they are definitely quads that I reach for with a specific color in mind, and it does definitely finish the look beautifully. Now this is a second palette that made me think of this whole theme, and I did mention it to someone very recently, and that is the Jouer palette called Ultra Foil. And it's Ultra Foil specifically because all of these are meant to complement a base look. And all of them are quite nice. And here's the palette. And if I were to give you my favorites, they would be these two. They are absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous colors. I do like this one as well, but these two I do think of when I think of this palette. And for a glam look, I don't hesitate to use this palette at all. Now, similar to the Clionadh Cosmetics highlighters, this is a hand-me-down from Steph, my good friend Steph here on YouTube. I'll put her channel right there. This is a hand-me-down from Steph, and there are, you'll see, 4 highlighters in here, and one of them she depotted, but these are very much reminiscent of Clionadh highlighters. And so if you have this palette and you're using it only as highlighter on the cheek or on the brow bone, I would highly recommend trying these highlighters, because you'll get the same kind of effect as I've got here and as I recommended and described with Clionadh highlighters. So this Becca highlighter palette can definitely kick an eye look up a notch. It's beautiful. And thank you to Steph for sending it my way. She really made my day when I opened up the package and saw it in there. This palette I am bringing back, and it's specifically for this side. This is more face palette type stuff. But for a blue and a green, I do think of this palette when I'm thinking of jewel tones. And it's one where I know that there will be, almost like the Linda Halberg quads that I showed you. This one, I know that the color payoff is there and I can get a glam look for green or blue in a very easy way and be done with the look. So those 2 colors definitely come to mind when I think of a jewel tone enhancement to a look. 2 more palettes and we're done. This next one, it can definitely support a full look, no problem, but I do tend to think of it as a topper palette for a couple of reasons. It's mostly because there are some gorgeous jewel tones right here, and these 2 are my go-tos, no question. I do like this purple as well, and this gold, if you want a gold that pops, this one or the one in the Tartiste Pro remix, they will definitely give you a very yellow gold, just your eyes on another level totally if you like the gold look. They don't disappoint. They really provide the color payoff and the glam aspect of what a gold can do. And finally, the last palette. This one is very blingy, and I have to really want sparkle to go into this palette. And it was just brought up again as a topic of conversation with a friend of mine, Lise. Hello, Lise. And it is this Stila Blue Realm palette from 2 holidays ago. And it's for these 2 shades. These 2 are fantastic toppers. And of course, there's another yellow to support the conversation we just had. But when I think of this palette, I think of these 2 shades. They're kind of iridescent toppers, and they just bring other shadows up a notch. And I do come into this palette specifically for those 2, and they're just, this one has kind of a blue iridescence, and the other one has kind of a peachy hot pink iridescence, and they're beautiful. And they offer the same kind of an effect as the one that I have on my eyes today from the Naked Cyber. So those are it. Those are the 12-ish, I brought out 1 extra, the 12-ish palettes that I think of as toppers or a finishing look effect in my collection. And so they're not palettes that I necessarily reach for a full look, but that complement and just give that last little kiss send-off to finish up a look and send me on my way. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the palettes I use as complements to a look. Let me know if you have some favorites for that specific purpose. I would love to hear in the comments. I'm sure more than just me would love to hear in the comments. Let us know. And with that, I will say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it every single time. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.